When they come into this great building behind us on Monday, what? That we want clean water and clean air and clean food, and we're demanding it. It's our basic right. It's the right for our children and for our grandchildren. And we don't want anyone to suffer the fate that Bayou Corn has and many other communities. So I'm just here today to welcome you. We helped put this together, and I'm very proud to be one of the brigade commanders, I believe is what the general tells me. But basically what it means is whatever he tells me to do is what I do. And so that's how it works. I want to remind you again, we have bottled water back there. We're going to have a table after this is over for people to sign up for the Green Army. We've got a food truck down there. So enjoy yourself, and God bless you for being here today. And don't just be here today. Please make the commitment to be part of the Green Army and make real change here at the Capitol that affects us in our communities. You ready? Yeah! All right, God bless you.
All right, hooah. I'm going to teach you an Army word called hooah. Hooah is everything but no. A strong hooah means I really agree with what you're saying. Hooah is an Indian word from the Native Americans. The Army uses it all the time, and the Marines say hoorah. Because the Marines didn't know how to spell, I guess I don't know. They say hoorah, and the Army say hooah. Are you with me? Hooah! Are you with me? Hooah! Welcome, Mr. Hayes Town, Baton Rouge. Water is under attack.
Thank you, gentlemen. My name is Hayes Town. I'm going to save Baton Rouge water. It's very important to the people in the Baton Rouge area. Over 400,000 people drink the water from the aquifer under Baton Rouge. This aquifer is under attack by saltwater intrusion. The saltwater intrusion is led by overpumping of the aquifer, causing the salt water to move north into our drinking water. There's no debate about that. That's what's happening. They've refused to recognize that for all these years. They've just begun to realize that it's true and that everybody knows it, but it's time to get the legislature to act upon it. The Commission of Conservation has not done anything. The Capitol Area Groundwater Commission has not done anything. It's up to the people to get their legislators to pass a bill which we're proposing to cut down on industry use of the groundwater. Industry in the Baton Rouge area uses 80 million gallons of groundwater a day. That's 80 million. It's not really necessary. They could get the water out of the river just as the plants do below Baton Rouge. It's very important to us that this legislation be passed. It's important that all of you participate and take part and help the Green Army and help Baton Rouge. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Next Hayes is Mr. Darrell Wiley, Sierra Club.
All right, we have next Mr. Darrell Wiley of the Sierra Club. Darrell?
Yeah. Oh, here's Darrell. Hooah! Now, one thing I know about Riley is you're supposed to get close. Look at those people way back over there. We want a good, nice picture. You got to have everybody in close. Come on up. Ain't nobody going to bite you up here. Come on up. Now, we had 3 buses come up from, 2 from New Orleans, 1 from Lafayette today. Hoorah! There was a challenge for those buses. Each bus had to come up with the best chant for the rally today. So we're going to have you all, bus 1 from New Orleans, that was the UU Church. Who's lighting up that chant? Come on, bus 1, right over here. Andy, raise your hand. Get bus 1, get over here. Bus 2, get right here in the middle. Bus 3, get over here, and we'll do this in a minute. Bus 2 right here, bus 1, bus 3. You know how it is with organizers. It's like herding cats. All right, we're getting organized here. So bus 1, bus 2, bus 3. All right. Now the vote. Bus 1, who thought bus 1 was the best? All right, bus 2. Bus 3. I think it's a tie. It's a tie. Now from the Sierra Club. Thanks, now. Mr. Mike Schaff, buy your corn. Miss Cola, come on up. Buy your corn. Remember, buy your corn. Well, all I can tell you is we thank General Henry for the depths of our hearts. I don't know if his wife thinks the same, because we dragged him out of retirement. Tina Calvier, where's your hand? Tina said, let's invite him over to one of our meetings, see if he come. Everybody said, oh no. He won't come. He came, and he started this, and we thank him from the bottom of our heart. It's been 582 days since this lady's been out of her home, and all these people down here in this green shirt, 582 days, people, from the laws that are okayed by these people behind us. We have to change that. It took 444 days for the Iran crisis to be resolved. 582 days these people have been out of their homes. We can't let that happen. Grand Bayou first in 2003, 3 miles down the road, Bayou Corn, we're gone. The few that remain, the only thing they have to look forward is to 2 million more cubic feet of gas being belched out of the ground. There are flares all over the neighborhood. There's an eternal flame in Washington at the Arlington Cemetery for President Kennedy. We call this our eternal flame of damnation. We can't let this happen to us anymore. We've got to change the laws. Because of our situation, they came up with some laws to change the way the salt caverns were solution mined, and the way the hydrocarbons were stored in it. But believe me, people, it's not much better than what we had before. Our little salt dome is about 3 square miles. In that salt dome, this legislator, if we don't watch him, is going to allow 300 more caverns that contain as much in them as the Twin Towers. 300 in our little tiny community. We can't allow that to happen. We have the aquifer over here in Baton Rouge being destroyed. We need to make those companies take the water out of the river, not the Baton Rouge people. It's them that got to pay for it, not the tax money from the citizens of Baton Rouge and the surrounding area. Please help us support our cause. Please let's stop this nonsense. Thank you.
I'm going to be really brief and say I don't know a lot of the technical things as Mike does. I want to tell you from I'm a Mimi with rose-colored glasses, that 19 months ago, I would have never dreamed that in the United States of America, a family could be forced from their home. So that is what I'm here to say. When you leave and you go home tonight, just imagine if you, your children, and your grandchildren could never go back to your home again. Just imagine that. And that's where we are. So any help would be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for sharing. Next, from Lake Panura, Ms. Nara Crowley,
Before we had Bayou Corn, we had Jefferson Island about 30 years ago. It no longer exists. Then we had Grand Bayou, Mike just told you about, no longer exists. It's been destroyed by industry. And now we got the community of Bayou Corn that's being destroyed by industry because of the lax laws associated with the state of Louisiana. Now, from Lake Panua, talking about the Chilcote Reservoir, is Ms. Nara Crowley, the brigade commander from Lake Panua, and a grandchild.
Well, right next to me is our future. And there's plenty of future sitting here in this crowd. And here's water. Now, to buy this water in a gallon size equals the amount of what you pay for a gallon of gas right now. So think about it. If we don't have our water in the future, we're going to be paying more than what we pay for our gas. It's important that we save and we can protect all our natural resources. Lake Panua has been fighting for 8 years to stop the drilling of caverns to store natural gas. And the reason, they're going to be taking 5 million gallons per day of water to drill these caverns. 5 million gallons of water per day for 4 years. So, water is life. Thank you.
Yes.
When our bill comes out, when all our bills are out there, we need you to contact your representatives. We need you to contact your senators. You need to reach us all. All our bills are important. Please send out notices to your friends. We've got Facebook, we've got emails, we've got such great way of contacting people. And for all of my colleagues and friends and family, and all of you who are here, our colleagues, you're here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nara.
And from Algiers, Louisiana, a lady that needs very little introduction in the environmental justice community, Ms. Eloise Williams.
Thank you, Ms. Honoré, because you're just going to make our world be a better place to live. We've been fighting the justice system for so many years, the big corporation that getting big tax breaks money from the government to continue polluting that water, the air, and our whole beings of justice in our family and community. We want to know how many of us has died with cancer. Yes, ma'am. We have benzene that the chemical plant government paying for the excuse me, people, I don't know what it is this morning, but somebody don't want me to talk, but I have to, because I've been in a struggle with this for over 30 years, talking about what is happening with the big corporation, going to DC, talking to the government. We have been everywhere to say, let's look at Algiers, let's look at New Orleans, because for every corporation, it's set on the bank of the river, and whenever they process, the benzene, the coke, these things land in our water. We don't have clean water in New Orleans, but we don't have our officials to speak out about it, to make everybody know that's ill in society that need to be addressed. So I thank Mr. Honoré for coming and being the person that he was to speak out, to look at what is going on and say, enough is enough. You know, I've been out here since way back in the 70s with Reverend Avery Alexander. You know, we have done the work, but we don't have the people to stand up with us and be truthful about what they're doing to us. So that's what we need. We need truthful officials that are going to say, we got to look at this. It's deep. You know? Even LSU has put numbers out of people that had died from cancer. This water is polluted, and people don't need to be drinking it. I thank Mr. Honoré. I can't thank him enough for being an outstanding man that he is, and standing up for truth and righteousness for the people. Now I'm going to sit down because I'm kind of wind up today. But I know that so many other people have something to say. We can't continue going buying water and paying water too. And all of the water is ill, even in the bottle. Because it come from the manufacturer that being paid to kill us. But we ain't dying. So Mr. Honorary, let me say it again. Thank you. Thank you.
Now, I'd like to introduce Dr. Wilma Subra. She's a MacArthur Award-winning scientist. So we're not just making this up in a coffee shop. We have science and engineering. She is sought out globally to speak about water and protecting our water. Please give a big welcome to Dr. Wilma Subra.
Thank you, General, and thank all of you for coming here today. Louisiana has abundance of surface and groundwater resources. The quality and the quantity of these water resources are threatened, and you have heard that already a lot today. The water resources are at risk of being contaminated or are already contaminated. Industrial facilities in Louisiana discharge more than 12.6 million pounds of toxic chemicals into the surface water resources every year, and are increasing in quantity at a rate of almost 20% a year. We need to do something about that. The largest quantity of chemicals discharged into our rivers are from petroleum facilities, paper mills, fertilizer manufacturing, and electric generating plants. And some of you have all or some of those in your communities. There are more than 50 toxic chemicals that are being discharged that do not have water quality criteria to regulate the quantity being discharged. These toxic chemicals are allowed to be discharged into our precious surface water resources by more than 85 large industrial facilities. As a result of the historic discharge of toxic chemicals into the surface water bodies, the chemicals have bioaccumulated up the food chain and contaminated various fish species to the level that human consumption advisories have been established for 53 of our 64 parishes. 53 of our 64 parishes have consumption advisories for people not to eat the fish or eat limited quantities of the fish. The parishes with the largest number of water bodies posted for human consumption are Calcasieu, Catahoula, Evangeline, Ouachita, and St. Tammany parishes. How many of you here today are from any one of those parishes? Pay attention to the advisories in your parish. The toxic chemicals that are in the fish consist of hexachlorobenzene, hexachlorobutadiene, polychlorinated biphenyls, PCBs, priority organics, creosote, lead, arsenic, dioxin, DDT, toxaphene, and mercury. And mercury by far is responsible for the most human consumption advisories. 52 of the 64 parishes have mercury consumption advisories. Capitol Lake, just right over here at the end of the Capitol, is contaminated and has its consumption advisories of organic contaminants, priority organics, PCBs, and many decades there are signs in the lake in Vietnamese not to fish in the lake. Then we have Devil's Swamp up north of us in the Alston community, and they're contaminated with hexachlorobenzene, hexachlorobutadiene, PCBs, lead, mercury, and arsenic. And those people don't have other sources of food. They go into Devil's Swamp to hunt and fish and put it on their table, and if they don't put it on their table, children have nothing to eat. And this is all from water contamination. And then the Amy River here in East Baton Rouge Parish is contaminated and has consumption for mercury. In addition to the industrial facilities that contaminate the surface water resources with toxic chemicals, many of the industrial facilities that were constructed before the 70s also have contamination of their groundwater resources under the facilities. And as the Mississippi River flows right by the Capitol here today, past Baton Rouge, it's not only contaminated with toxic chemicals, it also carries a very heavy load of nutrients such as nitrogen and phosphorus, compounds which originated as fertilizer applied to agricultural fields in the upper portion of the Mississippi River, mainly in the I-states, Illinois, Indiana, and Iowa. And it is the result of runoff and rainfall on these agricultural fields that brings it into our river. When the nutrient load reaches the Gulf of Mexico and surrounding bays, the phytoplankton prosper on the nutrients, and then they die, sink to the bottom, use up the oxygen, and that becomes the dead zone. The nutrient loading results in the dead zone, which results in the degradation of aquatic life in the area of low water. And in the coastal areas known as the Louisiana territorial seas, which are located 3 miles off the coast of Louisiana, where a lot of you fish. That's where the dead zone is, but it's also the location of oil and gas exploration, development, and production. And you heard the general talk a lot about the abandoned wells, the orphan wells. The oil and gas facilities in the territorial seas are located in Cameron, Vermilion, Iberia, St. Mary, Terrebonne, Lafourche, Jefferson, and Plaquemine Parish. I'm sure some of you here today are from those parishes. And these facilities are allowed to discharge produced water into the territorial seas under the terms of a general permit. Insufficient testing and monitoring of things like benzene, radioactive elements, heavy metals are discharged into the water column, and DEQ failed to address the potential environmental impacts required and testing and monitoring. So Lien filed suit and actually had the appeals court judge remand it back to DEQ. So the industry is having to do studies to determine exactly the extent of this contamination on the aquatic organisms in the territorial seas. Remember, again, from the coast out 3 miles. And the oil and gas industry is also developing shale plays. I saw a couple of signs here today about shale. And they're developing in Louisiana in the northwest portion, the Haynesville Shale around Shreveport, and from the Texas border into Mississippi, which is known as the Tuscaloosa Shale. And they use large quantities of water in the hydraulic fracturing process. And then in North Louisiana, they're encouraged to use surface water, mainly from the Red River and from the aquifer under that, only if absolutely necessary. But here, along the northern part of West Baton Rouge and Tuscaloosa, they're allowed to use groundwater. So the Chico, the Baton Rouge aquifer, and all the aquifers in this strip will be depleted as a result of shale gas development and shale oil development, because once they put that water down the wells and comes back up, they put it into injection wells, and it's lost to the water cycle forever. The freshwater and saltwater resources of the state of Louisiana need to be protected, and that's what we're asking you to help us do, in order to ensure environmental damage is not occurring and causing negative impacts to the flora, the fauna, and humans that heavily rely on water quality and quantity for survival now and into the future. So please, please help us work on the water issues. Thank you.
Wilma is our secret weapon. When the administrator of EPA walked in the room, they bowed to Miss Wilma, because she knows what she's talking about. Okay, Calvin, you ready?
All right.
Calvin is almost ready. Get ready. Here comes Calvin.
Put your hands together. Well, my home in Norfolk, Virginia, California, my mind. I straddle that Greyhound Road past Raleigh, on down to Carolina. I stopped in Charlotte and bypassed Rock Hill. Never was a minute late. Was 90 miles south of Atlanta by sundown, rolling through the Georgia state. Somebody help me get back to Louisiana, help me get things to the town. The awesome folks who care a little about me won't let this poor boy down. Yeah. Said that in 13 minutes we were running at the terminal gate. Well, swing low, chariot, come down easy. Take me to the terminal zone. And cut your engines and cool your wings and let me make it to the telephone. Well, Los Angeles, give me Norfolk, Virginia, try 2409. And telephone back home, this is Louisiana calling. For boys on the line. Louisiana's calling, y'all.
How about a big hand to the Trina Band, all the way from Houma, from the Houma Nation, on the outskirts of Grandmois. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in a big round of applause to our Louisiana State Police who's here today, always working hard for us. Thanks for the State Police and DPS for what y'all do for us every day. Our next speaker is Reverend Tyrone Edwards from Plaquemine Parish, Louisiana. Thanks, sir.
If you can hear my voice, say GreenARMY. If you can hear my voice, say GreenARMY. Wilma Suma did an excellent job describing the place where I'm from, Plaquemine Parish. We all know about the muddy Mississippi River. We all know that in 1972 we had the Clean Water Act was supposed to be the police and take all of our matters. Am I right about that? We all know about the Air Pollution Act that was supposed to solve all our problems, but it didn't work. But what we need, if we're going to change the business that's taking place in this building, we need an army. And what's the name of that army? Oh, you don't say it like you really mean it. What is the name of that army? We got to let them know that we're sick and tired of legislators saying they're going green and taking green. So we got to stop them taking green, and we got to have a green army to make them go green. So we ask all of you all to join us and let them know from Bobby Jindal on down to my parish president, Billy Nungesser, that there's a new army in town. And what's the name of that army? I can't hear you. What's the name of it? God bless you.
Thank you, Reverend. And from the Louisiana Bucket Brigade, Ms. Ann Rose.
Hello, everybody. I just want to remind everybody to be sure to sign up. Today we'll have a lot more impact if we have everybody's contact information. Of course, we'll only send you very interesting things. So I'm with the Bucket Brigade and an exceedingly proud member of the GreenARMY. And I'm going to begin with some words from a great African man named Ken Saro-Wiwa, who took on the corruption. Here's another member of the GreenARMY, my son Maxwell. Ken Saro-Wiwa took on the corruption of the oil company and the greed, and his words about the oil companies were, "We shall fight and we shall win." And I believe that with every bone in my body, that together we shall fight and we shall win. We will fight our elected officials who seem to represent the interests of British Petroleum and Exxon and Shell more than they represent the interests of we the people. And yet the GreenARMY, this legislative session, which starts on Monday, the GreenARMY has a whole list of legislation. And we can win if we do exactly what we are doing here today, show up. Show up during the next 3 months of the legislative session, come to the Capitol, and call and write your legislators so that they're sick of hearing from you. And then when they're tired of hearing from you, you keep calling and you get 10 of your friends and family to do the same. We can win, but today has got to be only the beginning. We shall fight and we shall win. Now there's a very wide gulf between the future that all of us see and the present that we have. And just down the road is Exxon, which last year made $44 billion in profit. That's just one oil company, $44 billion in profit, and yet they are so blinded by this money that they have actually forgotten what is right and what is wrong. $44 billion in profit, and yet the 2 Exxon refineries in this state average 3 accidents a week. $44 billion in profit, and yet here in Baton Rouge, they continue and refuse to update their water system and instead pull millions of gallons every day of fresh water from the aquifer beneath our feet. $44 billion, and yet here we are together. We're not afraid of them, right? Are we afraid of Exxon? No! They've got $44 billion, but we're smarter than they are. So we're undaunted, unafraid. We will take on Exxon and all of them because we shall fight and we shall win. 200 years ago, the state of Louisiana was an ardent supporter of slavery. And during the slave revolt of 1811, Governor Claiborne presided over the massacre of enslaved men and women. And I point this out to show an example of how our leaders are often grievously wrong. Our governor, our legislators are grievously wrong today because they blindly support the oil industry and they have forgotten about we the people. But we are here to fix that. We can fix that. And how do I know it? Because we are here together. Today is just the beginning, and we shall fight and we shall win.
Mr. Lynn, before Steve Mushy come up, I just want to say this. We're going to fight to modernize and make sure all the chemical plants and petroleum plants have a black box in them. Just like you have on an airplane when something happened. We want to know what they were talking about before it blew up. We want to know what they were talking about when it blew up. And we want to know what they were talking about after it blew up. We want reverse 911. So if there's a release, everybody get a phone call that's in the area of that plant. Shouldn't we have that? We've got an 18th century notification system. But somebody come around with a siren to tell you what's going on. We want to bring that in the 21st century. Stand by. We're going to need you in this building later this month to express yourself about that point. Now, Mr. Steve Mushy from the Gulf Restoration Network.
Thank you, General. I'm Steve Mushy with the Gulf Restoration Network. You all could be anywhere on this beautiful Saturday afternoon, but you chose to be here, and we're so grateful for that. I want you to give yourselves a hand and thank the person next to you. Yeah. All right. In addition to you all, there are 12,247 people who could not be here today, but are here in spirit, who expect big oil to fix the coast that they broke. Coastal Louisiana is a global treasure, economic, environmental, and cultural, and it is disappearing. 400 to 600 square miles of wetlands have been lost due to the oil and gas industry. And instead of our governor and our state legislature expecting the oil and gas industry to fix the coast they broke, we are going to spend $61 million of our taxpayer money this year as part of the annual plan to plug oil and gas canals. Those are oil and gas canals those companies ought to be fixing, not us taxpayers. Now, I don't want to steal too much of John Barry's thunder, but we are so grateful that he and the levee board have finally stood up to the oil and gas industry, and we are going to see some accountability from that industry. We're not asking them to do anything more than any of you would do, or we would expect from any other company, and that is to clean up the mess that they made. Thank you very much.
How many of you like Louisiana oysters? How many of you like Louisiana oysters? Meet Mr. Byron Epcard from the Louisiana Oyster Association.
Thank you, General. Appreciate you having me here. Thank you all for allowing me to speak. And just like the General said, if you love oysters, guess what? You won't be getting them soon if the oil companies keep having their way. On the east bank of Plaquemine Parish, we haven't produced one oyster since the BP oil spill. The richest oyster beds in the world And it is sad. And these communities along the coast, if we don't have clean water coming down this river, these coastal communities can't survive. And then we're going to have to change the name of our state. It's not going to be no longer the Bayou State. They're going to call it the Oil Company State. Because this building may be owned by us, but it's being ran by oil and gas industry. Make no mistake about it. I've been battling here since the 70s, since I got appointed to the Oyster Task Force. And the attitude has always been in this building. Hey, I could do without everybody along the coast, but I can't do without my money from the oil and gas companies. We need to build coalitions. We need to understand that we have got coalitions out there. We need to reach out to each other. No longer can we allow these people to divide and conquer us. I'm a veteran, and I tell you, I served under one of the best generals in the world, and I'm just proud to be here today to serve under another great general. So thank y'all for listening, and I appreciate y'all.
Thank you, sir. I love them oysters. Something was said earlier that we must pause on. You see that building right over there? That good-looking building on the right, just shy of the brown building? That's the Department of Natural Resources. If you look right around the corner here, there's a lake that falls in the shadows of the state capital of Louisiana. That lake is polluted. Enough said. That lake is polluted. Enough said. That's why you're here today. That's why you're going to go get more people to support this cause. And that's why you're going to come march these halls with us. Are you with me? Yeah. Miss Cheryl Salvin from North Louisiana, from the Washita River Keepers.
Thank you, General. I feel kind of lonely being the only northerner here, but thank you. I am the Washita River Keeper for the entire length of the Washita River. Are any of you familiar with our beautiful Washita River? Oh, thank you. Well, we have problems on the Washita River. When I applied to become a water keeper with the Water Keepers Alliance, they were going to give me the Washita River just in Louisiana, and I said, no, you can't do that. You got to give it all of it, because most of the pollution's coming from Arkansas. What comes downstream, what's put in upstream comes downstream, so we've got to deal with that. In Hot Springs, we got a radioactive waste dump leaching radioactive groundwater into Lake Catherine, which is part of the Washita River. I won't go to all the spots. The next one, the worst one, is in Crossett, Arkansas, owned by Koch Industries, is a Georgia Pacific paper mill, which is killing the people there in the community, and 2.5 miles above the Louisiana line, turning the river black for the rest of its length. That's how much pollution is coming into the Washita. I went to LDEQ and asked them for help when they went for their permit. They helped all right. They helped them write their permit. This has got to stop. It's the regulators. They are not regulating. And why are they not regulating? Because the politicians are calling them saying, don't do that. Because big industry is calling them. And it has to stop. Because these resources belong to the people of the state of Louisiana. It's a common thing. We all share the same air, we share the same water, and we've got to protect it because they aren't. And here's an example. You go to them and you say, so-and-so's doing something, and the industry calls and says, well, we're not breaking our permit, and they aren't, because their permits are so broad they can do anything they want to. And it's going to take all of you to change that, because you've got to change the politics. I always say when you got an environmental problem, the first thing you have to do is solve your political problem. Because if you don't solve the political problem, you're never going to get the environmental problem solved. And you are the people who can change that. So you got to stand up. Did you know that one call to a state representative counts as 100? One call to a federal representative counts as 1,000. So don't think when you pick up that telephone that you're doing just a little bit. You're doing a lot. You got to do it, and you got to keep doing it until we win this war. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cheryl, for reminding us the influence of the oil and gas business, which brings a lot of jobs to Louisiana. But let me tell you, if you don't know, the Senate committee in this state that controls Department of Natural Resources. The head of that committee is the CEO of a gas company. Let's say that again. This democracy and this law requires the CEO of a gas company to run the Senate committee that oversees our natural resources. Our state needs a law of recusal. A law of recusal would not allow this man to do his business on the Senate floor. That must stop. He is the CEO of a gas company that will do everything in every committee to kill anything that might threaten him and his buddies from getting richer and richer and richer. He does his business on the Senate floor. If you don't know who it is, figure it out. I'm not going to tell you because you need to participate in this democracy to make it work. Ms. Sandra Rosenthal from levees.org.
Thank you, General. In 2005, when the levees broke and flooded 80% of New Orleans and all of St. Bernard Parish, my son, who was just 15 years old, and I decided that we needed to show that that flood disaster that everybody calls Katrina was actually a civil engineering disaster caused by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. We were told, you're not going to win, you can't do it. The Army Corps of Engineers is the richest and most powerful organization in the world. We were told, don't even try. Well, 25,000 supporters later, 6 chapters in 6 states later, we absolutely have prevailed. The Army Corps of Engineers has admitted they made huge mistakes, grave mistakes, and we succeeded. When the citizens can and do prevail. When we heard in July that John Barry, with the Flood Protection Authority East, had filed a lawsuit against 97 oil, gas, and pipeline companies for the damage that they did to our coastal wetlands and our hurricane storm surge buffers, Levee.org was one of the first to stand up in support of that lawsuit. That was in July, and 8 months later, we can see here, we are winning, and we shall prevail. And I'm very happy to introduce John Barry.
Thank you. And thank you all for coming. I'm going to be very brief. Of course, that obviously means I'll talk for the next 45 minutes. There's a certain thing that's common to all the concerns that we have here, whether it's Bayou Corn or the Levee Board's lawsuit. And what this is really about is survival. That's what it's about.
Yep. Yes, sir.
And in the case, in our case, in the Levee Board case, what we're doing is really, really, really radical. I mean, it's extremely radical. What we want is what every parent should be teaching their kids. We want the oil companies to keep their word. We want them to obey the law, and we want them to take responsibility for their actions. And, you know, for us to be classified as an extremist, when all we want is essentially the conservative American values, the values that this country is built upon, to apply to the oil industry, I mean, that's just laughable. As some of you know, I'm an historian, and let me tell you a little piece of history happened about 400 years ago, almost exactly 400 years ago. One of my personal heroes is someone you probably never heard of. His name was Sir Edward Coke. And he was Chief Justice in England. Probably the greatest judge in English history. And although none of you ever heard of them, he made a ruling from the bench that every American over the age of 5 knows. Almost exactly 400 years ago, he said, "The house of everyone is as his castle." And when he made that ruling, the word castle was not something rhetorical. There were great lords with great castles and private armies of hundreds, if not thousands, of soldiers. And what he was saying in that ruling is that when it comes to the law, when someone comes to court, that great lord with the castle and the private army is no different than a peasant in a mud hut. They were equal before the law. And what the industry is saying is that they're above the law.
No.
When the governor and the industry want politicians in this building to kill a lawsuit that has already been filed, he is saying the industry is above the law. No one is above the law. No one. And, I close another point of history which I've learned. History doesn't happen. People make history. And as other people here today have already said, it is up to you. You can determine your history. You can make your history. You've got to take charge, and we start on Monday when the legislature convenes. Thank you very much.
This is the last speech for the day. But I want to introduce you to a man who knows Louisiana and knows what happened. Give a big round of applause to Mr. Harrell.
Hey, thank y'all all for being here. I want to share with you that a handful of determined people can turn the world upside down and shake it and change it. And that's what I'm looking at here, a pile of determined people. Let's make a change. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Harrell. Yeah, they got a food truck back there, that way, down the sidewalk.
He's come just for us, that's all.
Well, he came for us. Tree the band, y'all ready? Y'all ready to take me out? Huh?
Oh, Drew.
Oh, we got one little song. Okay, Drew. All right.
Does that thing work?
Come over here, Drew. Let's give Drew a big round of applause here. Come on, Drew. And I've got one more minute to give you. There you go, Drew. All right, make it loud, Drew. Let's get it.
Yes, sir.
Kick it, kick it.
Tell me, what can we learn from my forefathers' memory, and what kind of lessons did they take to the grave? They turned stout and exile for land and our labor, while they sold you home freedom as they treat you like slaves. At 25 feet, that old levee will breach, and there may be no going back home, back home. Well, I thought I saw light in the dark of the night. It was only the eye of the storm. And my grandfather, he cut down the world's tallest cypress. Man, he could not get by on a moss picker's wage. Tell me what we gonna learn from that old man's misery. I pray we're not destined to make that mistake. So brother, who pay the cost of paradise lost? Many more folks might roll in their grave. I thought I saw light in the dark of the night. And can't this be paradise saved? I hope so. How about a hand for General Honorary? He got a job on the rig in the deep water canyon, so he could no longer get by on an oysterman's wage. And we watch him big planes come to poison our ocean, and seen the black tide kill the fish we once ate. So mama, who paid the cost of paradise lost, 'cause the old folks would roll in their grave. And I thought I saw light in the dark of the night, and can't this be paradise saved? Good day.
What a way to end. Drew, thank you. Preacher, come take us home, preacher. Come on, sirs, over here. Talk to us. Praise the Lord.
Can I get a loud green army one more time? Now that is so weak. Let's try this one more time. 1, 2, 3. Let us all bow our head. Oh, dear gracious and eternal God, we thank you for your traveling grace that brought us here. And we ask for your traveling grace as we leave this place. Continue to give General Honorary the vision, dear God, and all of the vision, dear God, and determination, dear God, that this day doesn't end, dear God, that next week we all come back with a stronger determination to go into this building and do all that we can do to get justice. In the mighty name of Jesus we pray. Amen, amen, amen.
Thanks, Reverend. I want to thank the Tree the Band. Thank all of you for coming. Our important work is next week, calling those legislators, getting involved, contacting one of our brigades, write me online, get involved, tell somebody, talk to somebody, because the actions we take, as Ann said, and Sandy said, in the future, after the day, that's going to cause this change. Remember, in the shadows of the Capitol, the lake is polluted. And that's a damn shame. That must change. To the band!
Keep it all clean. So don't mess with our bayous. Don't mess with our bayous. Don't mess with our bayous. We gotta keep the water clean. So don't mess with our bayous. Keep it clean. Woo! Together, everybody, do it! Want to say hi? Oh, scrub it, General Honorary. All right, we want everybody to sing. All you gotta say is don't mess with our bayous. You gotta keep it clean. You ready? Don't mess with our bayous. Don't mess with our bayous. We gotta keep the water clean. So don't mess with our bayous. Don't mess with our bayous. Don't mess with our bayous. We gotta keep the water clean, right? So don't mess with our bayous. Keep it clean. Woo! Oh yeah. There you go. Keep it clean, baby.
to thank everybody. A big round of applause for GreenARMY for getting us out here. But it's so cool. And the Green Army, everybody. Hoo-ah! Oh yeah, sassafras. All I do now and everybody else that performed. Don't forget to join in the good cause. Go sign up. We hope to see you back again soon. Support! Hoo-ah!
Thank y'all for coming. Have a safe trip home. God bless you. If you brought anything, take it with you.